Hello and welcome. Namaste and greetings. How's it going? It's a new year. It's a new you. Things are going well. It's what I'm affirming. I don't hear you. Okay, thank you because your life is your amen. So hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center, and I am the founding minister and spiritual director, Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson. If you want more information about who we are and what we do, feel free to follow us, subscribe, do all that good stuff on all of the various social media platforms, as well as email to get more information. Now, if you're ready, everybody ready? Everybody ready? Okay, so we're going to jump on in. Today's topic, the universal voice, the theme for the month, root and reboot. So there's this idea, the universal voice. Within all that is the cosmos itself, there is one song playing. It's almost like universe, uni meaning one verse that is reverberating throughout all of creation. So there's this one song that is playing, the song of life itself. For there truly is only one life, and that life is God, and that life is majestic and magnificent, and that life is your life right now. So begin your day by recognizing your connection not only to this one life and one love, but as it. And through this ability, this recognition, you begin to see yourself, hear yourself, feel yourself as the vibration of this divine voice, as it shows up in, through, and as you and everything else in your experience. Because as God is, so I must be. Ernest Holmes said, whatever is true about God is true about you. This is one of the fundamental truths of our teaching, Science of Mind and Spirit. Each one of us is divinely connected to that which is the one source. We have to be because it's all there is. This divine intelligence is living, moving, and having its beingness incarnated as each one of us. So there's this idea of the universal voice that, the power of the spoken word, the word made flesh. And traditionally, our teaching has been one that focuses on the power of the individual, but we are moving from the individual I, the individual me, to the universal we, the collective we. We are no longer going to be self-centered in this idea of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, but how do I, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, none of us are free until all of us are free. How do I use my spiritual practice as a 21st century new thought Good Samaritan? How do I serve? How do I show up in the world? How do I help to elevate and raise the consciousness of the planet? So, our goal is that we not only recognize and realize our individual power, but we use this individual power to connect and collect together as the universal collective to up level and evolve the collective consciousness together. There is only one showing up as the many. It is now time for the many to come together as the one, rooted deeply in love, peace, and harmony. So if you're ready, in the essay, Getting Along with People, it says, this is the new birth that comes through a new outlook on life, a new way of thinking, a new sense of our relationship to our environment, to the people around us, to ourselves, and to God. This new outlook, a new way of thinking, a new sense of. Well, you do realize that takes practice, it takes work, it takes effort. It doesn't just happen by saying it. So first question would be, do I want this new outlook, this new way of thinking, this new sense of? Because if I do, then I am deeply invited to be committed to the practice of practicing this new sense of relationship with self, environment, others, God. And how do I do this? I change the way that I think. I change the way that I speak. I change the way that I feel and emote. I change the actions that I engage in. If we're going to talk about it, then we have to be about it, which means we have to do it. It has to be the fruit that we bear. And one way that this can be demonstrated is in this voice. Once again, today's topic, the universal voice, this infinite intelligence that vibrates, that creates through the word. So if we were to say your voice, what do you use your voice? And it doesn't matter how your voice, quote unquote, how your voice is communicated. That could be your verbal voice, the manner in which you use your vocal cords in your mouth. That's one way that we use words and voice. But voice is also how you sign, how you write, how you type, how you communicate in pictures and memes on your social media platforms. The voice is all of the ways that we engage in communication. What is your voice communicating? If we were to pause for a moment and look at all of the ways you communicate and all of the things that you are communicating, what would it say that you actually believe in? What would it say, or would it say what your spiritual practice is? Would there be any demonstration of it as witnessed, as evidenced in your word, in your voice, in your communication? Would there be? Well, first we have to say, well, what is communication? Communication involves all of these and so much more. Communication is the language that we use. Right now, I am speaking English. If I were to turn my voice off and only sign, then the language would be ASL. If I were fluent in Espanol, hola, ¿cómo estás? Japanese, konnichiwa, o genki desu ka? Right? Like, so the language that we communicate in, the words that we use, the meaning of those words. When I teach American Sign Language, I often give this example saying we don't sign words, we sign the meaning, we sign the concept. Run. What does that mean? Well, it depends on how you're using it. I'm going to go for a run this morning. Next year, I'm going to run for president. My car won't run. You have a run in your stocking. What is the meaning of the words that we are using in the language that we are using? Are we using certain images? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Why do we say that? What does that mean? How are these concepts connecting us? I don't simply speak or talk to myself just for the sake of speaking and talking to myself. You know, tomorrow I'm going to get up and go to work. What, you don't have a job. What do you mean you're going to get up and go to work? I wasn't even talking to you. There has to be a reason. In this thing called communication, there is some kind of connection. Even the self-talk, the manner in which we, in that inner voice, speak to ourselves, it's connecting something. What is it connecting? What is the purpose of it? When we communicate, it serves a purpose. We are asking, we are telling, we are informing, we are communicating in order to serve a purpose. If we want to communicate effectively, then it means we want to have a better understanding of what it is we are aiming to communicate. What is the reason for? What are we intending to accomplish through this thing called communication? According to EnglishTeacher.eu, this thing of communication, we use communication to express. And we do this expression using words, using sounds, using pictures, using behaviors to express, to share information, connection, etc. Communication, this universal voice, the communication of spirit, of the universe itself, communication, how God speaks in us, through us, and as us. Communication using words, pictures, sounds, and behavior. This behavior is communicating something. You know, as a parent, you see your child, excuse me, what is your issue, young man? Do you have something you want to say? No. You might want to watch your tone. The behavior is communicating something. How attentive are we to know what it is we are communicating through all of these things, our words, the sounds that we make? That sound is communicating something. Sucking teeth, the sound is communicating. It communicating something. Be mindful. Step into a deeper level of awareness where we know what we are communicating and why. For example, is this communication? We see the plant withering. Oh. Is it not communicating to us? Give me water. Please give me water. It's communicating to us. And once the water is given, it's like, yes, I am ready. Where is the sun? Oh, Mr. Sun, sun. It's communicating. Though it's a plant, it's behavior. It may not be using words, but it is using behavior to communicate. These communicate what? There is a universal understanding. This isn't the universal sign of, oh, I love that aroma. It is so delicious. This is the universal sign of, oh my goodness, what is that smell? What is that stench? What is that odor? It's automatically communicating something. Are we aware? Communicating. How does your body communicate that it is ready to be nourished? Your stomach may grumble. There's a certain internal feeling, right? So there are gestures that communicate. There are behaviors that communicate. There are internal grumblings and feelings and intuition and sensations that communicate. We are communicating beings because spirit communicates. Is this communication? Are these animals? Are they not saying something in the wagging of the tail and the fighting of the tail and the knocking over of stuff just because it's meow? I don't like it, right? Is this not communicating something? And as I said, it's because that which is God, that which is source, that which is spirit is always communicating with itself. Always. That's why I often remind there is no still small voice. The voice of creation is loud and clear when we are not turning the volume up on everything else, the noise and the busyness of the world. I got to do this on Monday, and then I got to make these phone calls, and I have to do this, and I got to send these emails. And no, I forgot to do that. No, my calendar is so booked. When that noise is so loud, then yes, the voice of love and the voice of unity and the voice of connection, yeah, it may not be heard because we're paying attention to this other stuff. But the moment we move that out of the way, it's why we meditate. The moment we move that away, solitude and stillness, move it out of the way, then we recognize that the voice of God, the voice of creation, the voice of life itself, our internal intuition and sense and awareness, our higher self is loud and clear. It's always communicating. Everything can communicate if we are paying attention. Ha ha ha, can. Everything can get the, okay, never mind. Everything can, and actually everything does, everything is communicating if and when we are paying attention. So the question is, are we paying attention? When we talk to ourselves, when we are talking about ourselves, when we are talking through ourselves, communicating through ourselves, are we also listening to what's being communicated? So for a moment, talking to ourselves, are we aware of what we say to ourselves? Do we say things that are loving, or do we say things that are not? You are worthless, you are stupid, you are ugly, you are fat, you are skinny, you are clumsy, you are so untalented, you are not enough of, you are not enough. Why couldn't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be more like, you're not enough? or you're too much of something. You are just too much. You need to turn that down. You just, oh my goodness, you're too loud. You're too talented. You're too smart. You're too pretty. You're too beautiful. You're too much of. One time when I was a public school teacher, used to, arrive to school early to set my intention and, my day. And I would whistle through the halls or sing, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Or, any number of songs. Whistle while you work. Just do your best. And I'd sing. And not one, not two, but three different teachers, colleagues, at various points throughout the time I was there, said that I'm too happy. No normal person should be as happy as you are. Stop it. What? Say what now? Too happy. Too happy. I'm working on happy on all cylinders of 10. I'm working on getting to a 12 or 15. You talking about something too happy? Oh, please. Our invitation is to be mindful of what are we saying to ourselves, because whatever we're saying, if you are, then I am. If we are saying it about ourselves, then we create this self-fulfilling prophecy, because the law is always listening. The law is always saying, yes, you are fat. If you are, then I am. And we begin to take on the mass collective consciousness of what that means. And we traumatize and trigger and abuse ourselves based on that. You're ugly. You're stupid. You're not smart enough. You're not like your sister. You're not good at math. You never can. You never will. All of these things. Rather than affirming that, are we ready to step into a place that says, I am worthy, I deserve, I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete? If you are, then I am. I am that I am. Are we ready to use this universal, infinite, divinely intelligent voice to manifest that? In our Declaration of Principles, it says, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in us, and that all of us are incarnations of this one Spirit. All of us are incarnations of this one Spirit. Also in the Declaration, it says, one who has come to know themselves has come to know the Lord. Now, we don't refer to the Lord in the way we, in traditional Christian ideology or belief system refer to the Lord. What we are referring to is this governing power and authority and influence that we have that gives us the free will to choose and to act and to create, to master and to be the stewards, effective stewards of our own lives and experiences more effectively by more effectively governing our mental equivalents. So once again, we are individualized expressions of the one, of that which is, the all that is. Therefore, we automatically have innate divine authority, power, and governance. Are we using it? Are we ready to use it? Because if we are, then recognize one who has come to know themselves. Do you know yourself? How well do you know yourself? And I'm not just talking about your name, your social security number, where you were born, the color of your skin, sexual orientation. I'm talking about, do you know yourself as an individualized expression of God? Do you recognize, do you know yourself as the universe in human form? Make thyself to grow to the same stature as the greatness which transcends all measure. Make yourself to grow. Practice the presence. Be steeped in principle. Do your spiritual work and grow to the same stature as the greatness that transcends all measure. That which is the divine, that which is God, that which is source, that which is spirit. Do the work. Practice. Recognizing that everything about you, that which God is, I am. Didn't I just say, Ernest Holmes said, whatever is true about God is true about you? Are you living that? Are you recognizing that? Are you putting that into practice? If you want sunshine, step out into the sunshine? If you have locked yourself away in a dark closet, why not come out into the light? If you have locked yourself away in a dark closet of shame and guilt and self incrimination, low self worth, why not come out into the light of deserving, unconditional love, joy, joyous laughter, gratitude, harmony? Why not come out into that? Are we not all invited to? See, we tend to relegate this idea of coming out only to members of the LGBTQ community. But this is inviting all of us to come out into the light. Like Glenda said, come out, wherever you are. Come out. Come out of the darkness, come out of the guilt, come out of the shame, come out of the trauma, come out of it into your divine power, into the light. If you have been feeling that everything is against you and no one really cares for you, know that God is in everyone and meet the God in others and see what happens. Namaste. See, when I namaste, I am recognizing that that which God is in me, sees itself in you, and bows at its own beauty, grandeur, and intelligence. But I'm not going to be able to really, and I can do the gesture, but I'm not really going to be able to do it energetically if I don't know myself to be that divine power, presence, joy, intelligence, the universal voice. I'm not going to be able to do it. I can do the gesture. Just like we know there are people who say, I love you, but everything about their behavior says the opposite. I believe in justice and equity, but everything in their behavior, everything in the policies that they are writing is the exact opposite. So the gesture in and of itself is communicating something, but back of the gesture, back of the words, the truth is going to be revealed. So the question once again, are we ready to know ourselves to such a degree that we are ready to come out, step out into the world, and understand that there is nothing in the universe that is against you? There may be people who don't like you. That has nothing to do with this. Knowing that the universe has your back, not because it is a separate thing and has your back, but because it is you. The universe is you. And the universe, of course, has its own back. So, of course, it has your back. That's like saying my right hand hates the left hand. You know, I really don't like you. But why not? Because you're so far away. Well, you do know you're connected to the wrist, and that's connected to the forearm, and then the elbow, the shoulder, the body, the shoulder. We are actually connected. What? We are actually connected. There is only one power and one presence, that which is God itself, life itself. So whatever it is you are perceiving to be the universe against you, God against you, everyone against you, is a perception that you are holding. The invitation is to come out of that closet into the light and understand that when you shift your mental equivalent, your experience shifts as well. Live loud enough in your heart, and there is no need to speak. Meaning, your body, that's why you'll often hear me say, your life is your amen. You don't need to say amen when everything about you declares the truth about you and your life and your experience. If you live so loud in your heart, in your being, in your very presence, then the moment you walk into a room, your aura, your spiritual scent fills the room, and others will feel it. They may not know what it is, they may not know where it's coming from at first, but they will be affected by it. You change in how you walk, you change in how you speak, your posture changes, everything about you changes when you live so loudly with gratitude and joy and harmony and peace and unconditional love that it actually exudes from your skin. Everything about you vibrates with that truth. Breathe. When we understand that there is no anthropomorphic God and we are aware of the presence of it in, through, and as all, we hear, we feel, we see, we touch, we understand, and we know the voice of the all in the breeze on our face, in the sip of tea, in the music that gives us God bumps when we hear the music play, in that hug from a loved one, in that intuitive sense that says, you know what, reach out to such and such and say hello, in that shade of blue that catches our eye as we pass a store window. All of these are expressions of this universal, infinite, powerful voice. We recognize it is everywhere and is always communicating to us, in us, with us, and through us, and as us, always and in all ways. Breathe. This week's practice, which Tracy will go over in your Thursday night study group. Number one, what does this phrase, this quote mean to you? Principle has no precedent. Or as we often say, we are not bound by precedent, but by principle. What does that mean to you? Does your language reflect a belief in this statement, or does it reflect a belief in the opposite of this statement? Number two, what could you do today that would bring you closer to experiencing a mystical experience, closer to experiencing spirit in your everyday life? What can you do to nurture the mystical experience? Remembering, just backtrack for a second, remembering that Frank Lloyd Wright said, I believe in God, but I spell it Nature. I believe in God, but I spell it nature. Maybe that's an invitation to the mystical experience, spending time in nature. What does that for you? What could you do today to do that? Number three, like speaking any other language and learning the culture associated with that language, what changes in our lives when we see, when we, what? When we fluently speak the language of spirit? When we fluently speak the language of spirit, what changes? Something has to change. When I'm fluent in American Sign Language and I know the deaf culture and the community, something about me changes. When I study Japanese and the Japanese culture, something about me changes. Something in the brain chemistry changes when we become fluent in another language, fluent in another culture, fluent in another community. We change, not only in terms of our knowledge and awareness, but literally, biologically, we change. Breathe. What changes in your life when you fluently speak the language of spirit? And then lastly, number four, have a conversation with three people. What changes in your communication when you choose to communicate from each of these three states of consciousness? Right? Once again, what changes in your communication when you communicate from each of these three states, stages, levels of consciousness? When you speak to God, what changes? When you speak about God, what changes? When you speak as God, what changes? Breathe. This week's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if you feel in alignment with it, say it with me on the second go round. As God is, I am, we are. As God is, I am, we are. And breathe. Breathe and feel that resonance. Breathe and feel what it means to say, as God is, I am. God is joy. I am joy. God is power. I am power. We are power. God is equity. I am equity. We are equity. Breathe into what shifts and changes in our very essence, in all that we are. What shifts, what changes. And so as we move through this thing called the rest of our day, we move with this new level of communication. We move with this new level of language access. We move with this new understanding and practice and awareness of the universal voice, the infinite voice, this divine intelligence that is speaking to us, through us, in us, and as us, always and in all ways. This voice, this word made flesh. And the law says yes. So right here and right now, I acknowledge my ability, my power, my presence, my stewardship as the Lord of my life. And I recognize the same for everyone watching now. And the law says yes. Breathe. Breathe and breathe and become fluent in the language of the divine. Breathe and become fluent in the language of love. It's a tongue twister. Breathe and become fluent in the language of laughter, in the language of joy. Breathe and become fluent in the language of the I am. Become fluent in the language of the universal voice, the voice of God, the life of God, the mind that is God. There is only one mind, and that mind is God, and that mind is your mind right now. There is only one life, and that life is God. Not just God's life. That life is God, and that life is your life right now. Become fluent in that language. The law says yes. It's already done. It's already now. And so it is. Namaste, blessings, greetings, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day. Don't laugh about my little difficulty with the word fluent. Don't know why that's a tongue twister for me right now. But anyhow, have an amazing rest of your day. Be blessed, be well, and know your divine power today. Much love and appreciation. See you next week. And we might be live. Ooh.